What's up, everybody? Welcome into Jammin with J Money from sportsbookreview.com, man. Y'all make sure y'all get over there to SBR Video /NBA. Check out the articles that we have over there on the website. Go check out all type of picks, the odds. Y'all make sure y'all get over there, man. Great info over there. What's up? We got Jordan Sharp here. We got Junior Browne and my guy Teddy Covers, man. What's up, Jordan? Everything good with you? How was your break, man?
Yeah, it's been a really nice break. Nice and relaxing to get a few days off. It's always nice to get a few days off in this business because you can get the ups and downs can get you real worked up at times. So it's just nice to have the last 2 or 3 days. I'm just mad I didn't listen to you about the 3 point contest, my guy. You splashed on Bloody Healed in our show. We talked about on some of the All Star stuff. So I'm a little mad I didn't jump on him to win the 3 point contest as well as Davis Bertans. But everything else is going really well. How about you guys?
Junior, everything good with you? How was your break?
It's good, man. All-Star Saturday night was nice. The three-point contest was exciting. I don't know who Aaron Gordon pissed off, but he can't seem to get any love in the dunk contest. And as far as Sunday, you already know. I don't watch that shit, so I heard it was good, but I didn't see it.
Yeah, Teddy, how you do? Tell him that was a good All-Star game right there. I mean, it was competitive down to the wire, Junior. I must say you missed out on one if you didn't catch that one, man. That was a good one there. I must say. What you think, Teddy?
Yeah, I mean, it was an exciting game. And look, they played defense in the fourth quarter, which you don't always see in an all-star game. So that's certainly a positive sign. And yet it still went over the total, even though they played defense for the fourth quarter in that game. But, I mean, realistically, you get a little bit of a break. It was my wife and I's anniversary. I spent, went out and had a good time one night. Was it Saturday night or whatever? But realistically, what do? You come back, you get back, you take a day off and you get right back in the grind. I spent all day yesterday working on power reading numbers and going through the notes and seeing what I could find for second half information and you can get for come out of the break because come right out of the break there's some opportunity. I mean it's a loaded card Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and just doing a little work to see if we could find any insights on some of these teams heading into the second half. And maybe we found a good one for tomorrow. For what it's worth, I like Brooklyn plus the points tomorrow. I already put that in my pocket. My number was much shorter than the 8.5 that's currently out there now with Philly laying the points tomorrow night.
I like that. My guy Ted giving out future picks already. We talk about futures. He's talking about the immediate future tomorrow. So hey, y'all know we definitely gonna get to it tomorrow for sure. I can't wait, man. I ain't be able to sleep tonight. It's gonna be like Christmas tomorrow, man. But yeah, definitely digging through it. And man, college been kind of killing me here lately, man. So I'm ready for NBA to come back, man. I'm pissed. I'm still pissed from yesterday. But anyway, the All-Star break, yeah, buddy, it was crazy though, Jordan. Buddy Hield, yeah, the boy came through, man. I know we talked about that. I was like, man, hey, I think Buddy Hield might be, you know what I'm saying, undervalued here. And where he come out there hot, man. But it was a good 3 point contest, in my opinion. It was a good dunk contest. Aaron Gordon got snubbed once again. Obviously D Wade had a little bias there, but it's all good. You know what I'm saying? It's all good for the most part, though. I mean, I think everything was pretty exciting over the All Star weekend, man. But had a nice little break. It's gonna be time to get back into it, man. But we're gonna talk about some futures here. I know I was just telling the guys here that I saw Vada, and obviously you got to get over there SBRRs and check out all the different odds over there. But at Bovada, they got the Lakers as the favorite right now to win the championship at plus 225. Most of the other ones have the Bucks though, have the Bucks at the favorite. What you think about that, Teddy? You think that the Lakers or the Bucks will get it done if they were to match up? Which one would you favor there? Or who you think there's a dark horse there to win a championship?
So let me start with this. All right. I think for as competitive as this season has been in the NBA, four teams max have a chance to win it all. And that's giving Toronto perhaps more credit than they deserve. But I put the Raptors on that list because they won it last year. Even without Kawhi, the rest of that team is still there, and they're still pretty good. I think Milwaukee, obviously, is a team that has a chance to win a title. In the West, it's the two teams from LA, and everybody else right now is playing for second place or third place. I don't know there's any other team other than those four that I would even consider a future wager on. So, I mean, when it stands out, I want to get the contenders and the pretenders. And right now I've got four contenders and everyone else is a pretender. Houston, Utah, Boston, Philly, teams with a lot of talent. I don't think they're at the level of the 4 teams that are legit contenders right now, and I'm curious to see what the other guys think of that.
What you think about that, Junior? What you think about what Teddy got to say? You think it's top 4? You think it's a dark horse out there that maybe could get hot? But we know it's very unlikely to happen. But what you think, Junior?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I agree 100% with Teddy. I wouldn't even put the Raptors in there. I mean, I do out of respect to them because they had every reason to have a championship hangover. They lost one of the best players in the sport off a team that nobody really expected to do anything. They did have pedigree before Kawhi got there, though. That kind of annoys me. And again, I'm not a Raptors fan just because I lived in Toronto. I'm a fan of whoever wins me money. But the reality is the Raptors have been making the playoffs for like a decade straight, and people want to act like Kawhi Leonard is the only reason they won a title. He's the main reason. They most likely wouldn't have won it without him. But you got to respect their squad. You got to respect their pedigree. They'll be in the fight. That being said, are they better than Milwaukee? Of course not. The other dark horses in the East, I would say, would be Boston and Philly. But Philly has really, really got some things to figure out. I'm sure you guys have noticed that over the last couple of weeks, Brett Browne has been staggering Embiid and Bill Simmons minutes a lot. They're not on the floor too much, and they're gonna have to figure that out because we all know that in the playoffs, once it becomes a half-court game, does Philly have what it takes to get buckets in crunch time? And I'm not really too sure that they do. Out west, I only see 2 teams. I don't like all the talking coming out of Clipperland, though. Pat Bev said the other day that the Lakers and the Rockets and everyone else got to go through them. What are the Clippers won, Pat? What are you talking about, brother? I know you're confident. I get it. But you've not won anything ever. You still play for the Clippers. Relax, bro. Relax.
Yeah, hey, I like Pat Bev though. Hey, and you wouldn't say
Yeah.
that to his face, but like that. I bet you that you wouldn't say that to. Nah, I'm messing with you though. I'm messing with you. What's
Hey,
up,
Jay, but hold
Jordan?
on,
What
Jay.
you-
I'm 6'3", 245. I'll say that to most people's
I'm
face.
messing.
But anyways,
I'm
we'll leave that where it is.
Hey, Pat Bev is a dog though, man. He a dog. And look, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I mean, and the Clippers just got Reggie Jackson over there as well. They got a point guard. Obviously, I mean, in the regular season, we know the Clippers. All these little. That's why they are the 3rd in the West right now. Because against the little smaller teams, they don't really care when they get on the road. But we know versus the best teams, they had the best defense versus the top 13 offense. And when they face a top 13 offense in the league, they have the number 1 defense. So they get up for big games. I mean, you can't count the Clippers out here. I mean, if you look at, I know Pinnacle. So I know everybody can't bet at Pinnacle. It's like an offshore book, but they're the only ones that have the Clippers that are favored there. I mean, they got some juicy odds too. They got them at plus 351, and that's the favorite. Next up is the Lakers plus 354. But I remember last year. I thought that the Bucks gonna get it last year. I said, man, them boys gonna come back next year even harder if they have the same interior, you know what I'm saying, keep the same core guys, which they did, added a few other pieces. Still lost Brogdon, but I mean, the Bucks ain't. It's crazy to say, man. I think that the Bucks I think they might handle whoever comes out of the West. Just my opinion. Them boys are loaded over there. They stacked. They don't really. I mean, they played a soft schedule, but I mean, they step up as well. But obviously, it's with big games on the road. That one game versus Philly on the road, and they got tapped. They can't do that, man. But it hadn't been many losses like that. I can't say the Bucks are gonna be a tough. I think it's gonna be. I think it's clear in my opinion that the Bucks don't come out in the East. That's basically what I'm saying, and it's gonna be up to the Lakers and Clippers, man. I don't think Denver got the offense. In my opinion, Utah. I mean, when they string it together, if there's sometimes, is what I like to say. Utah has shown they can do it, but I don't know, man. I don't know what to say about the Jazz. They're way too inconsistent. If the Bucks keep up this consistency, I would say that's who I would ride with. I think it's gonna come out the East, in my opinion, this year. But that's what I had to say. Anything that I had to say about that, Jordan? What you thinking?
Yeah, I want to go back and just kind of touch on a couple of things that everybody else was talking about. Also, first and foremost, I think everybody knows that they'd want Pat Beverly on their team. I wish I could attack my daily life and the handicapping of the NBA as Pat Beverly does, attacking the best player on the other team. That is first and foremost. That's going to go a very, very, very long way for the Clippers in the playoffs this year, regardless of if they win a title or not. But I want to just touch on the East real quick before I touch on the West, because I think what you're talking about, Jay, is, I mean, this is a league where over the past 5 or 6 years, it's been dogged for its lack of parity. And going into this year, you saw this as probably one of the most wide open NBA seasons we've seen in a very long time. And at this point, at the All-Star break, it still seems like that was maybe a little bit misguided, because it does seem like the teams like the Bucks out of the East, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that everybody else is playing for second place. So right now, if you're placing futures bets on the East, it's basically what you're trying to hedge with right now, like say a Raptors in the conference odds, or the Heat maybe, who've been playing well and have that kind of potential. Maybe even the Pacers if they can get their stuff together. I'm also not a big believer in Philly either. I definitely agree with you guys on that. I think at this point, so that at that point, I think the Bucks, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion. It's whether or not they're going to get any real resistance, I think, coming out of the East. That being said, I think that, Jay, you may be onto something here, because the Western Conference is so deep and so good, and there are more teams that you could consider kind of a dark horse in the West, realistically, compared to the East, that could really give the two LA teams a lot of trouble in the early rounds. And even if the Clippers and the Lakers play one another in Western Conference Finals, which once again we go back to that parity thing, I've been saying that since the beginning of the year, that it was going to be an all Los Angeles Western Conference Finals, and I'm not deviating that from that one bit. I think the question is which one of them is better. And at this point, for me, I think it's the Clippers. Now, granted, the Lakers do seem to have a better defense. They do seem to have, a pretty stout front line, which could give the Clippers some trouble. But at that same time, the Clippers have been so good defensively as well. And on top of that, they've been stealing all these buyout guys that the Lakers were kind of counting on to kind of lengthen their bench a little bit. At this point, head-to-head, I think a 7-game series, I think the Clippers are still a slightly better bet than the Lakers out west. And right now, I think everybody's playing for third place in the Western Conference. I agree with Teddy. I think there's 3 real contenders, and there may be one more out there. I don't think it's the Raptors per se, but I think there is that other team that could emerge here in the second half. But it's a 3-team race right now, 2 in the West, 1 in the East for me right now for the championship.
Exactly. Yeah, I can definitely see it, man. I could definitely see it. One thing I was gonna say, Jordan, did you have some players that you had some futures that you was looking at? I remember you mentioned that to me earlier. Did you have any good stuff on any particular players?
Yeah, I mean, this is the type of year that I kind of start shopping for this kind of stuff, just because your money's not held up for the entire season. It's just the last 35, 40 games or so of the regular season. And there was just, I was preparing for the show, and this isn't something I have any action on or anything. I just kind of wanted to gauge your guys' thoughts on this. And a lot of the player markets are kind of sorted out by now, and there's some heavy favorites. But the one that still seems to be pretty open is the 6th man of the year. And I just can't see Lou Williams not being a value here at plus 150. The other guys next to him are Montrezl Harrell at plus 175 and Dennis Schroeder at 2-1. And Lou Williams, and the only guy, I mean, like Montrezl Harrell is great, but he's really not the 6th man of the Lakers per se. He's more like their starting center, that he plays more minutes than Zubats, but he doesn't, get a whole lot of starts because they like to bring him off the bench because he meshes well with Williams. But I mean, a guy has won the award before at plus 150 on a team that may win a championship this year. I just feel like he may be undervalued a little bit. And Schroeder, a guy that's not, the Thunder aren't going to get a whole lot of attention in these awards either. So I was kind of wanting to gauge your guys' thoughts on Lou Will for 6th man of the year plus 150.
Yeah,
I think
Lou will.
Schroeder's live for that award, just because OKC has overachieved as much as they have. Yeah. And I would, and the fact that Williams may split votes with Harrell concerns me enough that the plus 150, I'd want plus $2 there. You understand that'd be the price I'd be looking for, just because I think there's a legit path for Schroeder to that title, to that award. I
would discount him at all.
That stands out to me. Yeah.
Yeah,
I could definitely see Schroeder.
Acquisitions,
a little bit more value.
The Clippers acquisitions makes it harder for Lou Will to win that title because he's got a great crew coming off the bench. He doesn't even have to do as much as he used to.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
Reggie
You're right.
Jackson
Yeah, I
might
think
take some of that
Schroeder. I think
offense.
Schroeder would be a nice one, man. The way if OKC keep it up the way they doing, man. But we'll see, man. We'll see. I'm not really big on those. I know that's really where Jordan. I want to talk about who do you guys think that can sneak into the West. We're gonna do the East next, but out of Portland, San Antonio, and New Orleans, we ain't gonna even throw Phoenix in there because them boys just slide all the way. Do you think one of those three teams can slide in can bump Memphis out of the A spot in the West, Teddy?
That's hard. You know, when you look, there's 7 teams that are set in the West. All right. And then it's, I mean, really, you know, Dallas in the 7th spot right now, and they're 8.5 games ahead of Portland. So 7 teams are in. You know, the Mavs aren't going to collapse like that. And it really is 4 teams for 1 spot. The Spurs aren't getting. All right. The rodeo road trip has started out poorly enough to make me think that, I mean, what are they, 22 straight years for Pop in the playoffs? That streak's going to end this year. So I'm looking at it as a 3-team race: Memphis, New Orleans, and Portland. Memphis is going to give it away. All right. They have the toughest schedule remaining in the second half. I don't know if it's going to be easy for the Grizz, but I don't think that they're going to collapse and go on a 10-game skid and all of a sudden it's going to be wide open for somebody else. If Portland or New Orleans gets this, they're going to have to earn it. But frankly, I mean, again, it doesn't seem like that much. We're talking about a 4-game lead over Portland. They do the tiebreaker edge with the Blazers. So it's really a 4.5-game lead with a third of the season remaining, about 26, 27, 28 games for everybody. But I honestly think the 8 teams that are in the Western Conference playoffs today will be the 8 teams that are in the Western Conference playoffs when the season all said and done. And of all those teams, Portland, if they're out of it, that team is going to quit. All right. It's all veterans. They brought in to make a playoff run. And if the Blazers are sitting there 5 games out with 10 games to go, I think you can safely bet against Portland game in, game out. They're a team that I've got my eye on for a collapse down the stretch if things don't go right coming out of the break.
Yeah, I can see it. We saw it there for a second. I mean, they got a little hot. We saw it there for a second. What you think, Junior? Out of these 3 teams, you think New Orleans can get hot? The boys got Zion over there. They started to play a little better. You think they can make a run there for the 8th spot in the West?
I think that they can, but I'll tell you what I think I feel even more strongly. If I'm the number 1 seed, the last thing that I want is to have to guard Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson in a 7-game series to start off my playoff run. That does not sound like anything I want a piece of whatsoever. So I guarantee you the Lakers, not only because of their talent, Brandon Ingram. First of all, they got like 20% of their team are ex-Lakers, so they'll have that factor. I just think that the best case scenario for the Lakers is to avoid the Pelicans, avoid the Grizzlies too if they can. Not to say that either one of those teams has what it takes to beat them, but you don't want to be involved in a grinded out series in the first round. So just from a neutral standpoint, just for the best basketball, I'd like to see New Orleans or Memphis in there if I could.
Yeah, I know New Orleans would be pretty exciting, man. I wouldn't be surprised to see a few games go their way, just to see them in the playoffs. I wouldn't be a bit surprised. What you think, Jordan? You think one that you count San Antonio and Portland pretty much out, or all 3 of these teams pretty much out? You think the West is set already 1 through 8?
I'm definitely counting out the Spurs. I think we've kind of seen the writing on the wall with them for a while now. They just bought out DeMar Carroll, essentially saying like, "Look, we're not making the playoffs this year. Go play for somebody else that has a chance to get you a postseason run, get you some minutes, because we're going to prioritize playing young guys." Also, I'm not fading Teddy Covers in this Portland collapse narrative here at all. This team, we've trashed them basically the entire year, and all props to Dame Lillard. Him and CJ McCollum basically been carrying this team for a while now. Not only this year, but I mean especially this year. Especially the way Dame's been playing here the last 2 or 3 weeks before the All-Star break. That being said, their defense is so terrible, and they're already back 4.5 games, like Teddy said, with the tiebreaker. Their divisional records has been awful, as has the Pelicans as well, which might come back to bite them in the ass even if they make a run. So I think at this point, if I had to make a play on this, if you're asking me among those 4 teams who I'd bet on to make the last seed, I think it's still the Grizzlies, just with the lead they have and the talent level as well. I think that they will eventually get Justice Winslow integrated into this offense once he gets healthy. Hopefully it'll be before the playoffs. I don't know when his timetable is, but that could be a big boost to them. I think that some people really overlooked once they traded Jake Crowder. Now, don't get me wrong. I think I'd rather have Jake Crowder short term. It's more of a long-term move for them, I think. But the Pelicans are the one that scare me here. Even as far back as they are, they're just so talented with Zion now that they're the ones that are going to make a run if they do. I just don't think I'm betting against the Grizzlies at this point.
Exactly. Yeah, I know the Grizzlies your team, man. I know you don't never like to ride against
Never
go
fade
against them
Memphis
boys.
this year.
I can
Yeah,
hey, if
never
they
fade
make you
Memphis this
money,
year.
man, I can dig it, man. I can dig it. So we're gonna get to the East. We'll get to the East, man. Orlando right now holding on to that 8th spot. We know, I mean, it's crazy because Washington, as bad as they are on defense, they can score points. They sitting right there 3 games back out of the 8th spot. Chicago still technically not out of it. They get Wendell Carter Jr. back. Dunn is hurt for a while. Still got some injuries banged up, but they had some time to try to heal up. I don't think Charlotte has what it takes to get in there to the 8th spot. But like I say, the East is wide open, man. But this one, I would just say out of in Chicago, Teddy, what you think out of Washington, out of the Wizards and Bulls? You think they can sneak up there and take away from the Magic? Obviously, Magic got some huge injuries there. Some guys that went down. They're going to get hit. They got a real good defense, but their offense it can sputter at times, man. Defense can always keep you in it, but you got to score points in today's NBA, man. If you're not hitting those threes, you'll get blown out real quick, man. We see two types of Aaron Gordon. So we'll see. They got Fultz over there. You think that the Magic can hold into the 8th spot, Teddy?
I would put my money on Washington before I put my money on Chicago or Orlando to get that final playoff spot in the East. Orlando has already shown us that this year is not going to be like last year. Remember, last year they got hot down the stretch. They won every game they were supposed to. They made everyone a bunch of money on their way to the 8th seed in the East, and then they got in the playoffs and got wiped out. I'm not getting any sort of sense that the Magic have that type of second half run in them this year. You know, you have the expiring contract situation for Orlando. You have an ongoing. Look, I mean, Aaron Gordon is what he is, which is a decent NBA starter. He's never going to be a superstar, and certainly not on the offensive end. Aaron Gordon, I think, holds that team back in a lot of ways. He gets a lot of touches, and his production level doesn't merit those touches, and they don't have any instant offense. The Magic are a team that there's any team in the NBA that can use instant offense off the bench. Terrence Ross, I guess, a little bit, but Washington hasn't played a lick of defense. But you look at and obviously, they're playing the entire season without John Wall. But you look at the concept of Beals and Bertans and Hachimura, and you say, hey, there's some pieces here for Washington. I love their attitude down the stretch, and they can light it up in a way that Orlando can't. So I do think the Wizards are live to get that 8th spot in the East. I think they're better than Orlando. Certainly every bit as good as Orlando, and we're not talking about a huge deficit that they have to overcome. And I like the quotes coming out of Washington's locker room 100 times more than I like the quotes coming out of Orlando's locker room. I think the Magic are vulnerable.
I think so as well, man. I think so as well. Like I say, that type of offense in today's NBA, it may not go far. Defense, hey, it's good, but they should have made some trades or something, man. If they was trying to keep that spot, man. Like you say, I wouldn't be a bit surprised. The Wizards know that the boys they can come and catch them. What you think, Junior?
I actually want to touch on something that Teddy just said because I haven't all the way given up on Aaron Gordon. I've given up on Orlando Aaron Gordon. Doesn't it seem like Aaron Gordon would be the perfect center for the Houston Rockets? Like, imagine they had Aaron Gordon instead of PJ Tucker at center. That now you're talking about a team that could do some damage because he's still a plus defender. He's a better scorer. He's got more size. I just think that, and this is, I know we're not talking about Houston, but I just think that they're asking PJ Tucker to do way too much. I think Aaron Gordon would be a perfect small ball 5 on the right team. But in terms of answering Jay Money's question, I think it's between Orlando and Washington. I give Orlando the edge over the Bulls because, one, I just don't believe in the Bulls. I don't believe in their coach. I don't believe in a lot of their players. They got a whole set of underachievers on that roster. At least Orlando has the experience of having made the playoffs last year. But out of the three, Washington is definitely the one that I would put my money on if you put a gun to my head, just because we've discussed this ad nauseum actually on this show. Every single time that we count Washington out, they show up to play. Half their roster getting injured, they're still getting wins. They're still feisty. They're still putting up 120 plus points. I don't really see that kind of fight out of the Chicago Bulls. There was a period in late November, early December where the Bulls defense was really taking off, but that's completely gone away. And I just think that with the Wizards' consistent offense, if they can even just play even mediocre defense, because they're much worse than mediocre. If they can just even, get up to mediocre, they got a shot at that 8 spot.
Yeah, I think so as well. And the Wizards getting healthy as well, man. They got Hatchamore back. What's got Wagner, Bertans. They're starting to get their back here is not starting to. I know Thomas Browne had went down, but he'll be back here pretty soon as well. Boys, pretty much full strength. They got Ish Smith, players like that he wasn't playing that well at the beginning of the year. Now he's starting the ball, out there. I think the Wizards might get him. What you think, Jordan?
Yeah, the first off, I want to touch on the Magic just because I think that you're seeing with what has gone on with them this year how important Jonathan Isaac was to that team. He probably is their best defender. He was a guy that was 4th or 5th in line for touches on the offensive end, but was still giving you double digits in points most nights just because he's that good. He's probably could be averaging a lot more if he was on a team where he wasn't, at best 3rd and at worst 5th in line on the touches. So I would not surprise me to see them fall out of the playoffs. I love the way Fultz is playing this year. I think that they do have obviously a 3-game lead it looks like here on the Wizards. So I mean it's not unforeseeable to see them making that 8 spot, but I do think that the Wizards are probably a better bet. I want to agree with everything Junior just said about the Chicago Bulls. It'd be interesting to see what happens when they get their front court pieces back. It looks like Markkanen's going to be back within a couple weeks. Wendell Carter should be back relatively soon now after the break. There was rumor that Otto Porter could be back sometime after the break. So if they can get these guys back and make a run and get that defense they're playing earlier in the season, they would have a shot at this. But the way the Wizards are getting healthy now at the right time and kind of clicking on the offensive end, they could really shoot their way into the playoffs here if the Magic truly tank. Now, the question is, like you guys said, are they going to continue giving up 120 points per game? Because if that's the case, it's going to be very hard for them to win some of these games, even against like 10 or so games they have remaining against teams that aren't in the playoffs. But that being said, I mean, they can still get hot against all those teams and beat a couple of other teams by shooting the basketball well that may not take them seriously on any given night. They're still a pretty good home team. They have definitely the most offensive on any of the teams that are fighting for that last seed, the 8th seed. So if you're going to go by just that, they're definitely still pretty good. They may be a pretty good bet here if they can actually, like I think it was like Junior said, play any semblance of defense the remainder of the season.
Exactly. Now we're gonna talk about pretty much. Hey, I mean, we got some lines out for tomorrow, and pretty much, hey, you know what I'm saying. And Teddy, I want you to let them know, hey, where else they can find you at, obviously on Twitter and everything else, where everything else that you got going. And hey, if you got something tomorrow that you're looking ahead, you can go ahead and let them close them out with that as well, Teddy.
So there's a team whose name I haven't mentioned yet today that I want to talk about before we go. From a point spread perspective, I think they have the most value of any team coming out of the All-Star break. That's the Indiana Pacers, who lost 6 straight going into the break. All the good teams in the East beat them. That was the transition with Oladipo coming back, and they had Warren in and out of the lineup. Indiana's loaded, okay? And even on this call, even on today's call, we're running through the teams in the East, the Pacers just get overlooked. And when people talk about sleepers, they're talking about Miami. Indiana, from a point spread perspective, I think is going to make, of all these teams, going to make people the most money over the back half of the campaign. I think the Pacers are bet on from day one, and I intend to bet on Indiana over and over and over again over the course of the next 2 months. So they're my number one bet on team.
Keep it coming, Teddy. Keep it coming.
I got Brooklyn plus. I like Brooklyn plus, though. I thought that line against Philly was really high. And, Kyrie's not coming back. Okay. They've been playing just fine without Kyrie all year long. I've stepped in front of Philly with mediocre results at home, to put it mildly. But this spread's too high. And Nets are going to come to play. I like the Nets plus tomorrow. And even at 8.5 right now. There were 9s out earlier. They're not there anymore. There's still 1-9 now. But if you look at that SBR live odds screen, you can certainly find 8.5 right now and get down on Brooklyn plus. I think they'll be live in that game.
I like it. I like it. Junior, you wanna tell them, hey, did you have anything that you know what I'm saying, want to look at for tomorrow? Anything, any bet on teams here, you know what I'm saying, in the future coming in? Now we know, man, it's the second half of the season, man. I don't care what happened in the first half. I don't, you know what I'm saying? It's a new time now, man. It's a new time. Second half of the season. We know what these teams do. We know who, you know what I'm saying. We know what everybody would like to do. Who's good, who's bad, all this. What you got, Junior? You got a bet on team for the future?
Are we talking tomorrow or just the rest of the season?
I mean tomorrow or rest of the season, just in, you know what I'm saying, in general. Did you look at anything tomorrow or and any team in the near future that you think has value going forward?
I like Memphis tomorrow plus the points at Sacramento. I'm not sure if Teddy can give us a reason why Memphis is plus points in this situation. I don't think anyone is injured as far as I know, but I like Memphis plus the points tomorrow. Kind of like Brooklyn plus the points tomorrow, too. I don't think that Philly should be laying 8.5 points against too many teams right now, the way that they've been looking recently. And I don't think a long layover is going to help their chemistry issues as far as I'm concerned. Those would be my two looks for tomorrow. We didn't get a chance to talk about the moves that were made at the deadline. I don't know what you guys think, but I just think that we kind of glossed over Memphis there because they have the 8th spot for now. They're trying to hold on to it. They're a young team, so we don't really know how that's going to go. If they could get the best version of Justice Winslow out there, that could be a piece. Now, I know Justice Winslow has some serious issues staying healthy. He can never really put together a long stretch of games, but if the best version of Justice Winslow that we've seen in his career is when he played point guard for Miami last year, if Justice Winslow is Memphis's backup point guard, they might just hold on to that 8th spot if they can get a healthy Justice Winslow in the second half of the season. Other than that, there's a few things. Teddy already mentioned Indiana Pacers, obviously with Oladipo back. It's kind of hard to integrate such a high usage rating guy into a team that's, I wouldn't say rolling because they hit a snag in the last month, but they were doing okay without him, all things considered. Kyrie, is he going to come back? What does that really mean? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they're going home in the first round of the playoffs anyway, so I don't really think that's too much. But no, other than that, the damn Clippers stay healthy. They're 14-4 with Patrick Beverley, Kawhi, and Paul George on the floor together. But that's only 18 games so far this season out of a possible, 50, I believe they played 55 games, if I'm not mistaken. So they've got to get that issue sorted out. I know they picked up a bunch of guys. That's all fine and dandy. But if your best players are not available to play, these peripheral guys aren't going to mean too much in the playoffs.
Just real quick, Junior, for what it's worth, my powering number for Memphis, Sacramento tomorrow was pick 'em. So to see Sacramento -1, I'm not shocked by that number at all. It's around the number where we thought it was going to be.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a revenge spot too, man. Memphis lost to them boys over there. They lost to them over there on January 2nd. I remember that as well. They lost by 5 in Sacramento. I was looking at a revenge spot for tomorrow. I didn't expect the line to be this high, but I remember the Rockets lost to the Warriors on Christmas Day on national TV. They lost by double digits as well, man. I know it's tough because we don't really know what we're gonna get from these teams coming, obviously, especially with superstar players that came from the All-Star break. But I didn't expect it to be that high, but I don't think that one's gonna be close. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I think that's a revenge spot them boys was looking ahead to, and the Warriors are very blowoutable. Let me just put it that way. They come to play sometimes, but they're very blowoutable. If you come against them, if the Rockets want to avenge that loss on Christmas Day, they're gonna smack them. What you think? What you got, Jordan? Anything you looking in the future, in the near future, or anything that you're looking ahead to tomorrow?
I'll start with tomorrow. Ditto everything Junior said about Justice Winslow, but the Grizzlies, this is a big test for them, because I think it was Teddy that mentioned how tough their schedule is in the last third of the season or whatever we're in. This is a game that one of the rare games they have against teams that aren't in the playoffs currently, so they know they have to win this game, and I think they're more talented than Sacramento this game coming out the break. This is the tight. They're looking ahead at their schedule too. I think they know they got to win these games right now if they want to have a chance to stick in this 8th seed. So I think Memphis tomorrow is a pretty good play. Maybe one of the only ones I'm on tomorrow at these current odds, but we'll see how some of these start to move at this point. And also, I mean, it's hard for me to come on this show and have Teddy steal my thunder on the Pacers, but that's why this man is so sharp, is because he knows that. I mean, I think I told you guys last time we were together, this almost a week ago, is that if there's a buy low team going into the second half that you're looking to buy at bottom barrel prices right now in both the futures markets and, like Teddy was saying, probably ATS, it's the Indiana Pacers. Now, whether or not they can get their stuff together, like I said earlier, remains to be seen. But at least what they will be priced at, I think, because of the struggles they had over the last 2 weeks of the regular season, I think is going to bring some value. The other team I want to talk about in the future, and I'm stealing a little bit of Junior's thunder here. I kind of want to see what he has to say about this one, but I'm looking at the Miami Heat kind of as a team with the moves they made at the trade deadline, coming together potentially now as one of the deeper teams in the Eastern Conference, and maybe that dark horse that we've been looking for, that team that could make a run at the Eastern Conference Finals and challenge the Bucks, with the amount of combination of guard play they have, the star power they have in Jimmy Butler, the young depth that they have. This is a team starting 2 rookies and has still been extremely good. Now they have some veteran players coming over, like Jay Crowder, to kind of shore up the bench and everything. Like, this is a team that can hit you in a number of different ways. And it may start tomorrow too at -5.5 against Atlanta. I know we've been pretty good on Atlanta here at home, so I don't know if I'm ready to jump in front of them coming off the All-Star break. But the Heat are another team. I think they have a dozen or maybe 12 or 13 games against teams that aren't in the playoffs right now remaining on their schedule. So their schedule, if you look at it for the remainder, does seem pretty easy. The question is whether or not they're going to be overpriced in some of the markets because of that. I still think there may be value in them ATS over the last half of the season. We know we love betting them first quarter, first half at home. I think that only continues in the second half. So they're another one of those teams that I may be looking at here to bet on here over the last third of the season.
Exactly. I like it. Yeah, can't wait for the Pacers, man. You got something, Teddy?
I was just looking at Miami's statistical profile in terms of offense efficiency and defense efficiency numbers. Like, are they going to hold value moving forward? They're 13th defense, 9th offense, so they're not top of the charts, but they're above average in both. Those aren't move the needle type of categories when it comes to point spreads. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Miami hold their value and continue to make people money over the second half. More so than OKC. The 2 surprise teams of the first half from a point spread standpoint were the Thunder and the Heat. You ask me which of those teams is more likely to make you money over the back third of the campaign. We keep calling it the back half. It's really only a third. But of the back third of the campaign, I think Miami is of those 2 teams more likely to be profitable for their backers over the between now and the playoffs.
Right. Yeah, and it's crazy because I was looking at 2 of them. Yeah, I was looking at the Bulls as well. I know the Bulls gonna be tricky. It's really, and the Hornets are really 5-0 ATS the last 5, kind of sort of. It's really because I remember the Bulls winning 1-1 in Charlotte. It was a lot of line movement there. So the closing line looks like the Hornets covered, but really if you got it early, the Bulls cover. I remember because I had the Bulls. It was like at a pick or something like that. But the Hornets seem to have been. They beat up on the Bulls early. This one at the house. I'm seeing Wendell Carter Jr. coming back for this game. It's obviously going to be to see how that happened, but I didn't think that was gonna be -5. I had it at 2.5, 3, man. So that's one I'm not touching at the 5. But and the Rockets, like I said, that's another one. I think they boosted it up. It opened at 10. It come down to 9. Damn near immediately come back up to 9.5. Real quick, Teddy, what you think about that Rockets? Right? You think I know you're gonna say it's too many points, but you think it's that high for a reason here because the Warriors at the house +10, it looks good, but I mean like I said, it was Christmas Day, man. Everybody was watching. And the Rockets it was pretty much a no-show from them in that same building. They remember that, Teddy.
Oh, I'm sure. So my powering number is the Bulls 5 over the Hornets, which is right near where the number is. I'm with you. If Chicago ever got healthy with Dunn and Markkanen and everybody back in the lineup together, Wendell Carter, they might make a run. But everything I'm hearing is Markkanen's still out for a little while. Dunn's still going to be out for a little while. So I'm not looking necessarily at the Bulls to make that run. My number on the Rockets Warriors, Houston 9.5 on the road against Golden State. You talk about revenge, and you do find meaningful revenge situations in the NBA. They tend to be short turnaround. You know, somebody stole something at the buzzer, or somebody made a big fourth quarter rally, and now they're playing the back-to-backs or head-to-heads and the home and homes. That's the word I'm looking for. They're playing home and homes. You'll see revenge really come into play in those type of games. When it comes to, all right, well, we lost this game 2 months ago, and now we're going to go and we have to win and win by margin in order to cover. I don't know that the revenge factor is quite as strong for a game like that. Teams that go into Golden State with the purpose are going to beat the Warriors by however much they want to beat them by. You know, Golden State's only going to be covering games against teams that are looking past them or don't care or bottom feeders. But good teams, I mean, Houston can win that game by however much they want to win it by, which may well be double digits. I wouldn't take Golden State as a home dog in that one.
I got you. I got you. Like I said, we're just looking ahead. I know that's a real nice spot with the Nets. We might all end up riding with the Nets tomorrow, man. Y'all make sure y'all come back to tomorrow. We're going, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, it should be a whole lot more people here, you know what I'm saying, live. But hey, y'all, if y'all watch today, y'all still had a little quick look. So, you know what I'm saying, for some stuff tomorrow. Obviously, we're going to break down the 6 games in depth tomorrow. Can't wait, man. Can't wait. I know my guy Jordan can't make it tomorrow. So it's going to be me, Teddy, and Junior. We're going to try to get to it, man. We're going to try to get some cash tomorrow. We're gonna holler at y'all tomorrow. Make sure y'all get over to SBR video /NBA. Check out the articles, man. Make sure y'all come back and check us out tomorrow, every day, Monday through Saturday. Jammin with J Money, 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Pacific. Man, we out.